Please join me in welcoming Marc Compagnon.
Thank you very much. So to Dean Sharma, trustees, alumni, faculty, and staff, thank you very much for including me on this incredible day. Really a very, very special day. And congratulations to the families and the loved ones that are here to support the graduates. And of course, congratulations to all of you, Grossman School of Business. Congratulations to 2018. You did a fantastic job. I'd also like to congratulate, that was a fantastic speech, really very inspiring. There's a reason why I go to the valedictorian, I could definitely see that. Before we get started, what I'd like all of you to do, all the graduates, is to make sure that you introduce yourself and make sure you know who is sitting next to you, your neighbors. Do some social media, you know, LinkedIn, Instagram, Snapchat. Take a minute, introduce yourself. This is your network, all right? It's a very special day for you. You're connected for a reason. So take a minute and do that. I'm going to do a quick selfie for myself and all of you. You already know everybody, I get it. All right. First of all, you know, for me, this is pretty special. As Dean Sharma said, I graduated in 1980, and I've only been back to UVM twice. Once, actually, to kick off the Hoffman lecture series. I think I was the first speaker. It was about 5 years ago, and now today. So my wife and I, we came in from Hong Kong yesterday. Hong Kong, Vancouver, New York, and got into warm and sunny. He guaranteed me Burlington 80 degrees. I'd be here for this wonderful day, and didn't quite pan out. I was just telling one of the faculty staff in 1997 when the handover ceremony happened in Hong Kong, when Hong Kong went back to China. We were there participating, and it poured rain for 3 days. And you know, the British with their stiff upper lip, they had the pomp and ceremony out on in the stadium, and Prince Charles was there with his military uniform, and he had his his cap on, and it was literally a waterfall in front of his face for hours on end, and they never moved. It was pretty amazing. So fortunately, I heard a lot of you guys left this morning to the ceremony. That was probably a very good move. But this is the important one. I know that. So, you know, for me, it's an honor to be back here. Pretty amazing. I actually did a quick tour yesterday with Becky, took my wife and I around, and it's amazing what's happened here. Really amazing. So, I don't actually remember if I actually graduated. That's what I was trying to remember, the ceremony. I think the school's a lot smaller, maybe 3,000 or 4,000 in those days, but I apparently have a degree. But I want you to know my degree is in zoology. Right. And so I think Dean Sharma might have made a mistake thinking, wait a minute, these guys are business majors and I'm a zoologist, but I'm a business guy. You know, I don't know how that all adds up. But in my days at UVM, I played college tennis for 4 years. So I played for the Catamounts for 4 years. I did a lot of skiing, studied a little bit. And I was actually a member of a fraternity that's no longer here, I think long gone, called Sigma Nu. So when I was a freshman, the captain of my tennis team was also the president of the fraternity. And we went by the house yesterday, which is now actually the Jewish Community Center here in Burlington, and it brought back a lot of memories. So I just want to share one in particular with you guys that I can talk about. Now, in 1978, Sigma Nu was known for all the after parties after the hockey games and things like that. And but we had a party that was pretty special. It was called the Hawaiian Party. So we would turn the house into literally Hawaii in the middle of the winter. It was always in February, and the people who were invited to come had to come in their swimsuits and as if they were in Hawaii, and it was minus 30 out. And the house was really transformed. Beaches, volcanoes erupting, luau's. I mean, it was unbelievable. And the party went on for 3 days. And so in 1978, Playboy magazine rated Hawaiian Party Sigma Nu fraternity, UVM, as the #1 party in the country. And we did somehow survive that, as you can see, so, here we are. So 40 years later, I get a request from the dean to come to speak to you guys here today about my journey, and I wanted to share with you some of the things that went on with me after I graduated from UVM. As I said, a zoology degree was something very, let's say, different than a business degree, but my life took an interesting turn. So I was basically an American expat who chose to go overseas and represent the U.S. as a representation of what that was in an overseas environment. So 38 years ago, I left the United States. And when I was overseas, principally in Hong Kong, I can tell you, in those days, it was a pretty foreign thing for people to go to Asia. And so if I had a dime for every time someone said, "So where are you from?" I could have started my own bank. I mean, it was pretty unusual in those days. And today, I am now an American immigrant who lives permanently in Asia. It's a very different way of seeing things. And so I took a different path, and a path that my peers didn't take for the most part, and also a path that really wasn't recommended to me. But the world was a very different place back in 1980. No Twitter, no Snapchat, no reality TV. It was what we say, things were a little bit slower then. And for my favorite artist actually was JT. Now JT to me means James Taylor. I think some of the parents here may recognize that. However, my eldest daughter would say JT, of course, is Justin Timberlake. Quite a difference in the world. So when I played college tennis, I used a wood racket. Back in those days, we'd break our blue jeans. On the snow, leaving trails of blue dye on the snow. Nobody skis in jeans anymore. The world has definitely changed. But what I did after graduation, even though I was offered a job, I decided to take a little bit of time. So I actually went to Hilton Head. I played tennis for a number of months on a circuit there, and then I went with a UVM buddy of mine, and we went out to Vail, and I skied for the whole winter. Took 3 jobs, and had a fantastic time. So while I was contemplating, coming back to the real world, I had an opportunity, and that opportunity was to start a tennis program in Thailand. Now, I had never been to Asia at all, and I decided to take a chance. And so I sold my beat-up old car, bought a one-way ticket to Bangkok, Thailand in 1981, and I flew off with $200 in my pocket. I must say, I had no idea really what was going to happen to me. Besides losing my hair, or some of my hair since those times, the other thing that I lost after leaving UVM was the idea of barriers. I see the world through multiple lenses, not through one lens anymore. To me, the world became one holistic place, and one that you could leverage from everywhere versus sort of living in a siloed world with a bit of blinders on. So today, I travel a tremendous amount. A lot of the people said, "Oh, you came all the way here." I mean, honestly, I was in New York 10 days ago. Went back to Hong Kong, came back. So I travel 60% of the time still. And about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, my most frequent airline, Cathay Pacific, which is the Hong Kong airline, they sent me a note, said, "Congratulations, you've flown 4 million miles." And they told me that was the equivalent of flying around the world 160 times. So what did I get for that? I had a choice, a set of earphones or a monogram plastic piece of luggage. As my wife said, they should have given you a plane, right? Or at least put your name on the plane. But those 4 million miles actually, created an incredible amount of opportunities for me, besides the earphones that I chose. But it also meant that I was away from my family a lot. So I had to participate in a lot of different personal family type of things online. Thank God for the online opportunities today. So I think the message here is that sometimes we have to do things that we don't necessarily want to do something that we want to do. And those kinds of trade-offs, you don't learn those in textbooks. They don't teach you those types of things. Those are decisions and choices that you'll have to make as you get on in your careers and your lives. But when I think back about that particular journey I did, it reminds me of the Robert Frost poem, which was basically two roads diverging in the wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and for me that has made all the difference. So I'll share with you someday some of the stories that I've learned living over in Asia for the last 38 years. My 18 hours working days in Thailand. When I got robbed by the hill tribes in the Golden Triangle region, taking my money and my cameras and things like that. My American military dentist friend, Doc, who actually educated me about what really happened in the Vietnam War. My days as a tennis pro in Hong Kong, and meeting and starting a business with my old UVM college roommate. We've been in business together now for 35 years. And I would tell you about my time going to China in 1983 to a place called Changsha, which is the capital of Hunan province. In 1983, Deng Xiaoping only opened up China after 30 years of being a closed country in about 79. That's when he started to establish the special economic zones. So I was in China at a very, very early stage, didn't speak a word, but boy, did I learn a lot of things. And what I came to appreciate actually was what the people in China were trying to do, actually, what they were trying to engage outside of what they had been basically prevented from doing for the past 30 years after Mao took over in 1949. It was an incredible opportunity to learn, so I have a chance to reflect on those times. We used to fly on Russian Ilyushin propeller planes. The cabin would fill with smoke. Every time you took off, they would be pumping in pure oxygen. You'd be gagging on the plane. You're thinking, what am I doing this for, right? It was an adventure. It was definitely an adventure. I would also tell you about really my journey about building businesses and building a company with my partners. I think, as Sanjay mentioned in my bio, opening offices around. So I was the one that was going into these different places like Philippines, Vietnam, Cambodia, India, Bangladesh, Guatemala, Mexico, Turkey, Italy, just to name a few. We opened offices in all of these places and pretty rapidly over a number of years. We also launched a company during the original dot-com boom. And we were very excited about this thing. We thought we had figured out the next way to do business. We worked for 2 years on this thing. They valued us, this is in 1999, at $3.4 billion, three of us. The first day of the IPO, the first day is when the bubble burst. You talk about timing, that was unbelievable, right? So NASDAQ dropped 20%, the whole thing was shelved. But what that led to was we decided to sell our company, and we sold it to a public company, which is the company that Dean Sharma mentioned is Li & Fung. And that company, we became a part of that company, and today I joined the board of that company in 2014, and today I help run the company as the group president with the fourth generation of the Fung family. That's the Fung and Li & Fung. But I would also tell you that besides all of these business accomplishments, my proudest stories are really about my family. I have two daughters. My beautiful wife Carol is here with me today. I wouldn't be here without her being here. And of course, she told me I had to say that, so I want you to recognize that. But thinking about my journey, let's maybe talk about yours and how you're going to create your own stories and figuring out how you're going to go on and create different paths in your lives. And I'm sure you'll choose a path very different than mine. But at the same time, I would hope that you would take to heart what we think about our daughter, about being kind, being brave, but most importantly, to be lucky. Starting from today, there won't be teachers and professors to help point you in the right direction. But if you're as lucky as I've been, the learning never stops. I learned from my father, who was an aerospace engineer, on hard work and great financial planning. My father didn't just work hard for himself, but he worked hard for his family. He was an immigrant. He came to the United States with nothing, and he was a success story. And so working hard was a natural part of my upbringing. My first job was a paper boy, delivering papers at 6 years old, making $5 a week. Even my older brother, who couldn't handle it, he slacked off, so I took his route, made more money, I was pretty motivated in those days. But I would also tell you that, working hard and doing things on your own is only part of it. I think you have to recognize that life is actually a team sport, in every aspect, both professionally as well as personally. And I think finding the right team, finding the right teammates, promoting them, collaborating, with them is extremely important. So aligning your values, your vision, and your goals with people that they're going to ride along with you is very important. There's always somebody smarter, right? There's always somebody more qualified. If you work hard and pick the right team, I think you'll have a great opportunity in life. And I would also like to say you have an incredible example of that with Dean Sharma, his wife, Dita, and the whole faculty here. I mean, I got involved with the Grossman School on the advisory board for about the last 5 years or so. And this is amazing what has happened here, right? And the changes. It's not just Dean, although you may see it's just him. I think the effort is amazing. I had the opportunity to see the new building yesterday. It looks fantastic. I know you guys are going to not enjoy that. That's unfortunate. You can come back, maybe get a master's, but it really shows that the team can make a huge, huge difference. And I think also it's important to think about getting outside of your comfort zone. It's a big world out there, and without exploration and continuous learning, you'll never know about the opportunities that you may have missed. If I hadn't taken that leap of faith and got on that plane to Thailand, it would have been a very, very different world for me. One of the reasons I stayed in a place like Hong Kong, which I've lived now for about 35 years, is the incredibly dynamic city. And it's because of the people. The people in Hong Kong have a can-do spirit, they're motivated, there's a diverse culture, and I'm very fortunate to have grown up in that type of environment. And our company, Li & Fung, is very much like Hong Kong. We're a very global, diverse business. We exported from 60 countries of the world last year, and we exported to 100 countries. So our customers are global. We have 8,000 customers on one side. We have 15,000 suppliers, factories, vendors on the other side. So we really connect the world in that way. And I am incredibly fortunate to have that opportunity, to see all these diverse cultures, and that's a very dynamic way to think about life. When you think about how the world is developing, this digital world, it's a very small world in a way. The connectivity is incredible. Companies like Alibaba and Amazon and things like that are completely changing the way that commerce is done, how people can interact. So you really have to think globally, and I encourage you to think globally and find your own Hong Kong, basically, in your life. Now, lastly, I think you have to understand and think about how to prioritize. There's lots of choices. You want to do everything at once, but it's impossible to do that. And also, I think you have to always move forward, right? You'll make mistakes. Mistakes are part of growing, learning, but always think forward, right? It's fine to make a mistake. We opened an office. I remember we opened an office in Singapore because we thought this is such a great place. It's a nice city. Love to spend some time there. It'll be awesome. So we opened an office, spent a lot of time and money, but actually they weren't ready for our services. So it was a very expensive mistake, but it was also a good learning tool for us as we continue to expand our business. So mistakes will happen. You just have to keep moving. I learned a while back that, since I'm a zoologist, that some animals come into this world, very together. They know how to survive day one, right? They're off and running, and they know how to feed themselves, etc. But humans are very different, right? It takes a long time for humans to be nurtured. and to learn how to eventually become independent and go off onto the world, on their own. And you've been in a safe and nurtured environment for the last probably 21 years, 22 years, most of you, right? And I think what you've learned in terms of reasoning, communication, social skills, these are, the attributes that are going to help you to survive in this very competitive world. So, if you reflect on some of the things that I've said, I'm sorry for rambling on a little bit too long. I think you have to think about your own path, as I mentioned, right? And think about being independent and do what you think is going to be right for you. But beyond all, you have to think about supporting yourselves, right? Find a job. As Dean said, it sounds like many of you got a job, and hopefully the rest of you will get jobs. I think it's great. And I think your parents will really appreciate you independently supporting yourselves and getting off of their dole. Right, parents? So, in closing, you may not be a zoology major, class of 2018, but I'm sure you're going to create your own amazing stories. So till we meet again, I encourage you to find your own path, but choose the road less traveled by. I think it'll make all the difference. So congratulations again, class of 2018.